What's going on, guys, and welcome to week 2 of the Underdog experiment. Essentially where we take the theme of being an underdog to your subconscious and realizing that your conscious side is really only using 10% of your day. And so you have to take advantage of that 10% of your day while implementing some of these changes into your life slowly but surely to improve your life in which way you see fit. Now, we may not all want to be billionaires, we may all not want to be the next top model, but maybe you just want to improve your life from what it is today. And that's what we are doing. We are trying to improve your life again in which way you see fit. And now we are in week 2. Now, week 1 was, I think, very productive nonetheless, right? Week 1 was actually time management, or being efficient with the time that you have. I'm all about, anything on this channel about this experiment is about taking the tools that we learn about and essentially trying to leverage those tools to your advantage and not digging too much into them, right? Because I think that's a big thing about any of these tools is people can take them for what they're worth, and they may find that they don't actually work for you, and that's perfectly okay, right? It's ultimately trying to find a tool that will work for you, essentially discovering those tools that you may not have been aware of, and trying to implement them into your life, essentially experimenting on yourself to see if that they do work, and if they do, be consistent with that thing and always falling back to that, right? So as long as you're consistent with those things that are helping you, those tools that help you, right, and tweaking them just slightly, you realize that you can eventually make great progress, great strides in those improvements that you want in your life. So ultimately, that's what the tools here are for, is to help you, give you exposure to things that you may not have, again, noticed, and applying those to your life and making a better life for yourself. And so time management, again, first week recap, essentially, we try to be more efficient with my time. I essentially eliminated social media and realized that I was more focused, more productive in doing so. And alternatively, right, it gave me good perspective on looking at other things in my life that maybe I don't really feel has been taking as much time as I thought it was, because I didn't think social media was taking as much time as I thought it was, and removing that and setting myself up for success, right, by removing that off my main screen that I go on, right, that I'm active on every day, removing it off of there and realizing that first day or two that I was just automatically going in and looking for that app, right? And then I removed that and then realized that I was more focused, I was more productive, I felt good about the whole thing. And so it kind of made me start thinking into some other different things as far as keeping this in mind, right? Continuing that audit and looking for other things that I could eliminate that can make me more productive. And so that's something I want to carry into this week, is again trying to establish the no social media, or keep it very limited. I still haven't really established a window in which to look at social media. I have really dwindled it down to, I think today I may have spent 10 minutes on there real quick and caught up on some things, and that was essentially it, right? And then I just closed it down and I was done. And I think that's what I'm gonna probably do. I'll probably do it, I would probably say like every other day or something like that. So that's something I wanna continue on from that first week, being more efficient and stuff like that. I think, Monday had some good talking points. So if you guys want to go back to time management and really wanna learn something about time management, if you go to the live last Monday session, there's a lot of great info in there as far as like time management and trying to be efficient. But I would say Friday's session that I had, I think I was just clicking on all cylinders, and there was a lot of good information in there. I've gone back through that video a couple different times, and there's a lot of good, effective time management tools in there that you could really apply to your life. So time management is one of those things I know a lot of people don't get excited about, and I may not do another time management like block, essentially, because I think a lot of people, again, don't get excited about time management, right? Like, it's hard to get excited about being efficient. These are just little things that you have to work on, essentially, to to build that good framework, to build everything else upon. So that something like that week, I don't think I'll really hit on again unless it's requested or something like that. I can do a video more on time management. I do have some time management videos. I can update that video a little bit with some of the new stuff that I found that has really helped me. But again, those 2 live sessions, they have some great information in there. So just go back and replay those. I know they can be a little bit long. Some people may not want to sit through a 30-minute video, but I guarantee you there's some real, especially if you're going to only watch one, definitely watch the Friday session, because I believe there was a lot of good information in there that can really help you if you are looking for ways to make yourself more efficient. Now, this week, week 2, we are talking about health. We are talking about physical health, and we're talking about mental health. So yes, this does cover a broad basis, right? So it's really just picking something, I think, in the 2, right, that you should do this week. And it should be mental. One of them should be mental. Another one should be a physical, right? Like maybe you're not getting out and getting enough exercise. Or maybe you have been walking, maybe you want to actually start running. Maybe that should be something, a goal this week you want to do. As far as like mentally, maybe you want to start meditating, right? Maybe you haven't done any kind of meditation. Maybe you find that some of the meditation isn't working for you, right? There's other different ways you can try to combat that, right? And for this week, like I've been doing for every week, for the theme, if you look down in the description, I have book recommendations for that given week, that theme that I've personally read that I have found have been really beneficial to me. This week I did list a lot of books because there's a lot of different things I found provided me a lot of guidance to what I essentially implemented in my life. And for those people who don't know, I am plant-based. I've been plant-based for 3 years now, and it's not saying that all the things that I eat are 100% plant-based, right? I do eat some other things that are not particularly plant-based, right? I do eat some processed stuff. I do try to ultimately limit that stuff as much as possible because I think that's extremely important. And I stay plant-based, again, 3 years, and I feel great, right? But that's something I want to get more into tomorrow on the live session and talk about my experience and going that transition into plant-based. And there's a lot of important things there that I think people should know, because I know health in general, people get very touchy on it, especially if you're not per se an expert on it. I think we hold too much weight on the expert the licenses and all those things, right? That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean you have to accept that. I think, again, we hold too much weight, especially in the United States. I think experience is one of those things. I'm a person that likes to experiment on myself, see what works for myself. And that is something I highly advise, especially this week, is to take all these tools and experiment on yourself, right? Cautiously, right? I'm not a doctor here. Maybe you have to talk to your physician about some of these different things, which is extremely important, right? You do need to clarify, especially if you're not a person that has typically done this. I like to experiment on myself. It's just what I like to do. Find out what works for me. And over the years, I've found what has worked for me. And plant-based diet has worked for me. And mental health, meditation has worked for me. It's been a long journey, but it has worked for me, right? It didn't work initially, but I took those steps that I needed to daily. I executed those tasks, and I got to where I wanted to go. So that's where we are. We're week 2. We're on health. So I'll be going through a lot of that kind of stuff this week. Again, week 3 will be people skills. Week 4, finances. I'll again get into all that stuff when those themes come up later in the week. Again, this whole thing, the whole premise of this Underdog experiment, right? It's about the subconscious going against the conscious state of your mind, right? And so that's where this Underdog experiment came from. I do have 4 particular pillars that I've been concentrating through this whole thing that I feel are extremely important, that can guide you to success, whether that's in business or your job or or money or relationships, whatever the case is, right? I think you need to build off these 4 pillars. And so this particular video here, learn these things for a better life. That's what the premise of that video is. And so I do actually have that down in the description below too, so you can go after this video and look at that video so you can kind of get an understanding of where this is all kind of getting based off of, because it does provide some more insight on why I believe that these 4 are extremely important in your life, that are things you should really learn to understand and get a good grasp of in your life. Okay, so what to expect this week? Like every week, every Sunday, I have a premiere at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and which is this video here. So I kind of just talk briefly about the week, what's going on, recap, weekly theme, and then my goals for the week. And that's essentially what's going to happen every Sunday premiere. So that way you guys can kind of prep for the week, be ready for it, and then get ready. You know, come Monday, you are starting to execute on these things. And then Monday, again, I'll have like talking points, insights, my experiences, different tools, right? And if someone wants to come in and join in the conversation, you know, that's why I'm doing these lives, is to have other people come in here and, you know, give their thoughts and opinions about things, but in a positive, respectful manner, right? Obviously, because that's what we're trying to do here. We all define success differently. Right, that's what I'm all about, right? These are the tools, these are experiences I've lived through, and I've lived through a lot. I feel like I've been through a lot more than the average person has gone through, and you know, I've lived to tell the tale, and that's what I'm here for. I want to provide my experiences and what I've lived through to help other people, and so that's why Monday is essentially that, right? It's just thoughts about health, thoughts about my experiences, what I've gone, what I've experienced, what worked, what hasn't worked. So that's all like on like a Monday live. So that is again at 9. All these will be on at 9. And again, I already have that updated and scheduled. So if you haven't seen that, go to my channel, hit the set reminder so you know tomorrow at 9 Eastern PM Standard Time, we are going live, and this is what we're talking about. And again, if you have questions or anything like that, we can bring those up and talking points, right? I typically have been doing about 30 minutes. If it goes a little bit longer than that, right? But try to keep about under an hour is what I'm looking at. Again, it all depends, right? Maybe we get a good conversation going, and who knows how long it'll go, right? So nonetheless, Fridays is results and what we can improve upon. So this past Friday was our first recap video, and I felt like it was good, right? Because you reflect on a lot of stuff throughout the week, and you learn about what you experienced through these different things. And I think that's where the most benefit is, right? Like you have these goals, you have these objectives, you know you have to take just daily tasks, right? And in moving forward, right, you get to that end of the week and you're like, man, there's this I corrected maybe on day 2, right? I've noticed this thing that I had to start correcting, and I noticed like even like the social media stuff, like I still had to go on there for like Discover Ignite stuff, right? So I was like, okay, well, if I have to go on there, it's gonna be, you know, straight to what I need to get done and get off of it, right? Just go straight for the bread. I know what I gotta buy in the store, go straight for the bread, grab the bread, get out of the store, right? Like I'm not buying anything else, right? So that's the kind of mindset you gotta have. And in that recap video, again, you reflect on all these different things, and I think it's where the most benefit is, right? So if we can get the most people to come, and the more thoughts and ideas and the goals that people have had, and reflect upon those on the week, and then, you know, that's where you get the most knowledge from, is the experience, what people lived through for that week, right? What did you experience this week? What was really hard for you, right? What did you find was easier? What other perspectives did you gain out of this week, right? I felt like there was other perspectives and stuff I gained from the past week on focusing again on those things that I wanted that I cared about more, right? Because I felt like I was taking on too much. So again, you got to go back to those recap videos, because I had like this brain dump, and there was a lot of creative juices going, and I think Friday it captured a lot of that stuff, and it was I think it was like 33 minutes, but I tell you, there's a lot of great info in there, and maybe eventually I get to a point to where I will actually go back through these clips and just make like clips of the highlights of these live sessions, and really see what the benefit is, right? And help other people with this. So again, Friday, there's great potential there for that. So my goals this week, I think there are a couple big things here to understand, right? Like there are times where you try things in your life and you find that they work really well, and for whatever, rhyme or reason, they fall off. And so it's going back to those, is looking back at those things that worked and go back and start implementing them again, and then working through, whatever the case was and why you let it drop off and continue with it. Well, there was one time in my life where I was sitting in silence for like an hour, and sometimes I would even go I think the longest I went was like an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours at one point. And I found that to be most beneficial, right? Like, because the meditation I've been doing now has been quick. I've been doing like 15 minutes. It's more like a visualization of what I want to happen in the future, right? And so I do this essentially every day. And what I want to do is bring back this week that 30 minutes of just silence. Because this is also something I touched on last week, was, you know, having that time where you essentially cut off the inputs, right? And do some critical thinking, reflect on your day, reflect on your life, like where are you going, right? And not allow input in that last part of your day. And so for this week, as far as like mentally, I want to do the 30 minutes in just silence. And I think that's really golden, because I've been there, I've seen it, especially like 2 hours. If you can make an hour, like I remember many times, like I went like, which I should probably hold this off till tomorrow, but many times I went like an hour, and you know, that first 40 minutes, it feels like you're just sitting there and it seems long. But like when you hit that like 40-minute mark, man, just like your brain really starts going, and it's like extremely productive and creative when you start hitting that 40-minute mark. It's kind of like you hit that runner's high, right? Like you get to a point, you gotta get through all the BS essentially, right? And then you get to that point to where you feel good, you feel loose, you feel creative, and you're ready to rock and roll, right? And that's essentially where it is. We're sitting in silence. And so that's what I want to try to attempt with 30 minutes this week. Again, I'm trying to adjust my schedule around stuff, so 30 minutes is kind of where I limited it for now, at a minimum, trying to do that every single day, and then eventually, hopefully try to push it off to that hour, and hopefully capture a whole hour. So it's, again, adjusting my schedule with what's going on. My day is mostly structured, but there's still a lot of moving pieces in there, so it's just trying to make sure I can squeeze everything in there. So right now we're aiming for 30 minutes for the mental side of the house on the health. As far as the physical side this week, I ran 10 miles, not this past week, but the week before, and I haven't run 10 miles in probably over a year. And so I did it with ease the previous week, and I really enjoyed it, right? It's one of those things that I never thought I would be on any platform talking about running 10 miles and it actually feeling good. But I tell you what, I felt fantastic after running that 10 miles. And I think at this week, I want to try to get 2 or 3 10-mile runs in this week. And I've been averaging, on weeks that I do run, I've been averaging around like 30 miles, roughly, somewhere around there. I think between like 30, 35 miles. So ultimately what I want to do, if I can get those 3 runs in and then squeeze in my regular, 5 to 6 mile run in between those, I think I want to see where I'm at the end of the week. So ultimately I'm aiming for 3 10-mile runs this week, see where I'm at, see how I feel, because I know it's, again, one of those mental things, right? It builds, and that's one of the biggest things I'm going to talk about tomorrow, is the whole gap that people have played with this physical and mental being completely different things, when in fact, I've totally believe they're one and the same. And anybody that's been deep into, health and fitness and actually done the work, you realize that they are one and the same, and you can't separate them, right? You can't think that, what you're feeding your mind isn't going to affect your body, and what you're feeding your body isn't going to affect your mind, right? They're a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Like you can't get around that. There's no way you can get around that. So again, those are my goals this week. And so to finish everything up, pin comment during my live video on Mondays, right? I have a pin comment I put on there, and then I update that throughout the week on the different things I'm doing. To see an example, you can go into the first week, week 1 live video, Monday session. I have a pinned comment in there of my goals, and I essentially logged everything in there every night on what I completed that day, that particular day, essentially building out what I've been doing that whole week. And it's kind of nice to see at the end of the week, right? Like you start out with just a couple bullets and then you eventually build 2 more bullets by the end of the week, right? So it's like it's knocking out those tasks to get you to where you want to go. And so again, don't feel overwhelmed. I said this in some of my live videos or my live sessions that, you know, don't overwhelm yourself with stuff, right? Like I've become extremely proficient in a lot of this stuff, so I can essentially multitask because I'm good at blocking time for myself. If you are not that way, maybe you're trying to learn the early stages of being more efficient, you know, take one thing at a time, right? And go back and watch my whole first week's videos, you know, watch my premiere that I had week 1, watch the 2 live sessions, and that will help guide you in managing your time, being more efficient. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, like every week, right? There's new things and trying to hit them and give you thoughts and give you ideas and allow yourself to, you know, be part of the community, contribute, post a comment in this video, right? And maintain throughout the week and update it as you go with me, and then recap every Friday, right? And then write your results Friday in the comments and what you ultimately learn throughout that week. And I think doing that, you know, will make you accountable, which helps tremendously, but it helps other people's in this community that we're trying to build, of people that essentially want to discover, you know, possibilities in their life and ignite that change, right? I want to just create a community of people that have that ignite mindset, that want to go out and improve their lives, right? It doesn't mean, again, that you are trying to be the next top model or the next billionaire. It just means that you are looking to improve your life, make your life a little bit better. Maybe just a little bit better can make you happier. And that's all we're here for, right? Is to make you better enough to where you are happy in your life. Everybody's expectations are completely different. You have your own, I have my own. Ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're trying to help build this community and do that just for you guys. So again, this week, week 2, Underdog experiment. I'm excited. I hope you're excited because we are ready to get this one rock and rolling. So everybody, week 2 of Underdog experiment. Let's get this party started.